prosecutors in general and U.S. attorneys in particular are not supposed to bring cases unless they believe that they have enough evidence for a conviction. They're not supposed to bring them just as sort of a gamble to see, what happens and whether they can, talk a jury into something. I think this is all by itself very concerning. But I would say Trump has done everything possible to help Comey bring this claim. Of course, not intentionally, but he has argued for years that Comey needs to be prosecuted because of bringing an investigation against him. He has denounced Comey um, and over and over and over again, calling him a criminal. And then, in terms of whether the prosecution would have been brought otherwise, well, we know that in the normal course of things, the prosecution would not have been brought, that it was only Trump's personal intervention by firing the previous interim U.S. attorney and putting in, this sort of relatively unqualified loyalist, um, that was the only way that this case moved forward. So, I think whereas in most cases you'd have to say that this kind of claim is kind of a Hail Mary, in this case, I think Comey has a very good chance of succeeding in having the indictment dismissed on this basis. I mean, there's a sort of bigger question of what does this say about the state of democracy to have these political prosecutions. And the answer is nothing good, right? Trump complains about the prosecutions against him, but they were brought through a process that was much less political, where the prosecution had a lot more evidence. Now, they never went to trial, or at least the federal charges, so we don't know what might have happened at a trial, but these cases are much worse in terms of being clearly political. I mean, imagine if Biden's prosecution team in the Justice Department had recommended against bringing any charges against Trump, and Biden fired them and appointed somebody who was basically unqualified but loyal, who then brought the charges. I mean, that's sort of what we're facing here. And nothing remotely like that. You can argue about whether the government should have investigated Trump, et cetera, but nothing nearly this politicized happened in those prosecutions. I don't think it's illegal for the president to intervene, but uh, although personally, I think it should be, but it's not. And it's not illegal for the president to fire one prosecutor and appoint somebody else, regardless of the reasons. However, I think again, there's there are reasons why the Justice Department is apolitical. Some of them are because we're worried about political prosecutions, but some of them are also because if judges and juries think the Justice Department is political, it's going to be harder to win cases.